young guys that I recruited on Saturday, and as I have conversations with people, I think, hey, this is something that probably a lot of people need to hear. And one of the things that they kept saying was, they said, because they already had insurance licenses, they said that our last company, the person was out of state, and we want in-person mentorship. And these are very motivated kids. I'm not saying that they're going to be successful here, because only God knows, right? I'm not hyping them, but I'm saying in areas of their life, they've shown a lot of discipline. And so one of them just kept saying, like, I just want to make sure, like, we're working with you, and we want to be mentored by you. And, you know, one time, and then he gave me an example with the last company. He said, one time I asked for mentorship, and the guy at the company was like, go read more books, right? But my response to him, when I told him, I said, actually, let me defend that guy for a second. Because if you've been here now, like Xander, okay? He's been here now for, what, a year? Okay? So, in a year, has he learned how to do 10 recruits? Yes. Okay? Assumptively, with all the examples we have of people that are producing on a weekly basis, all the amazing trainings that we have and everything, is it safe to assume that he's learned how to get 10 sales out of the people he recruits, as well as get personal sales? Yes. That assumption is there, right? That doesn't require coaching. Right. You see what I'm saying? So, I think that somebody like him, he should be able to do 10 by 10 whether I never talk to him again or not. Does that make sense? Now, our goal is to get people to a point to where they become competent in being able to do that. But what I told these young guys, to kind of bring it back, I said, listen, I'm going to teach you very quickly how to invite people. I'm going to teach you very quickly how to help me get in the door to people that you know. So you can take me to go see people, right? And you can bring people to come see me. I'm going to teach you that very quickly. So that doesn't require much mentorship. Really what it comes down to is, are you going to do that or not? That's who we spend our time and attention on. Does that make sense? This is it's a performance-based environment. So if you already know how to do what you need to do, and then you are not doing it, and then you're asking for mentorship, and maybe this happened with the last guy that they asked, then really what you're saying is, I just want attention. Yeah. That's what I told them. And I'll give people attention, but it has to be worthy in terms of, like, they have to reciprocate. So if you can show me that you are doing what you've been taught to do, which is not hard stuff in the beginning, you bring people, you take me to go see people, then I can give you all the attention in the world, but I'm not going to commit to mentoring someone. It's like, you're not meeting me halfway. Does that make sense? Because that's the thing now. Everyone just wants mentorship. No. You got to work. There are people that have zero mentorship in this company outside of listening to audios, and they've gotten themselves to 30 by 30, 40 by 40, 50 by 50, and then they've created relationships with people in the company that have gotten them beyond. Does that make sense? Everyone in this room, with the exception of people that, you know, I haven't seen, and maybe it's your first handful of meetings, you all know how to recruit 5 people and get on 5 appointments from now until the end of the month. Everybody knows how to do that, right? You've been on appointments? Right? You brought people to meetings? Okay, so you've already done it. The question is, are you going to do more of it? That's what warrants the attention. The people that make the decision to do what they already know how to do. I have a very, and I told Thomas to record this, because I think this is going to be, it's pertinent to a lot of people right now. Jen is running her own meeting. We're going to have a meeting in Reston. Sheila and Shaq, and I'll alternate which ones I show up to, but they're doing one in Ashburn. Shondel's thinking about doing one in Alexandria. So I wanted to do a topic today on how to run a meeting. And for people that, look, Primerica is a meetings business, okay? Everything is meetings. You have to learn that about our business. Everything is some form of a meeting. And ultimately, the goal here, like you're new, right? When you think about your long-term goal here, what is it? It's very simply put. Marco, what is it for you? Understanding, right? That's kind of like an intangible. What?
And that's the question.
Okay, so what is the ultimate goal here for someone that's getting started or wanting to do the business? If they're serious, what's the ultimate goal?
Learn how to sell.
You want to become an RVP. Okay? Newsflash, that's why you're here. The goals you have, Marco, right? If you actually are someone who wants to be serious here, it's to become an RVP. I can teach you how to sell in 3 months, right? But you want to become an RVP. You can be really good at sales and you're nowhere near, surprise, surprise, being an RVP. RVPs are people that know how to build and run meetings. That is what it comes down to. See, when I was a regional leader, and everywhere I went, if they had a meeting in Maryland, I had 30 people there, right? And for my 30, Shaq had another 30 outside. So no matter where we went, whether it was an in-office meeting, out-of-state, conventions, I had so many people, no one ever wondered if I was going to survive as an RVP, because how can you lose when you literally roll that deep everywhere you go, right? That is what an RVP is. So let's talk about some of these things. So what are the different meetings that we have? An interview. If I meet you and I want to recruit you, I'm going to do a meeting. Now, the meeting's either going to be one-on-one or I'm going to invite you to an opportunity meeting. A kitchen table appointment. Sometimes we have an acronym for that called the KTA. That's what Shaq is talking about. When we go to them, we're not sitting at the couch, we're sitting at the kitchen table. Therefore, we call that a kitchen table appointment. I know there's a lot of new acronyms for that as well. The Saturday is a meeting. Today's Monday meeting. Opportunity night, now that we're starting in various locations, that's going to be a meeting. And then of course we have the big events, convention, fast start schools, whatever you want to call it, we have those meetings. The main thing that drives every meeting is people. People got to show up and it's got to be new people. Okay, so those are the various meetings. Now, here's the thing about people, if you want to actually run a meeting, you have to understand a couple things. Number one is that everything starts with you. So the way that people behave in meetings and their attitude towards meetings, I can tell, do they have an employee mentality or do they have a business owner mentality? Because when me and Shaq and our other business partner, when we came in the beginning, we were like, what is this? Everyone was, relative to our age, because we were in our 20s and we're old, right? Now we're old. But at the time, we're like, man, everyone's old. The trainings, the guy would get up and he would have a paper, right? Give me paper. And then he would put his glasses up. And then he'd be reading from the paper like this, almost in like a whisper. That was our trainings. And we said, oh, hell no, we can't invite people here. So what we did was, in the next, not years, in a couple of weeks, we had so many more people than the other guys that they had to let us run the meeting. And that's how it became. We took ownership of the meeting. Right? So it starts with you. Number one, you showing up. When people don't show up, regardless of the reason, the first thing I always think to myself is, what if it was your meeting? What if it was your meeting, right? If you cancel me, have I ever, who's been here? In the time that you've been here, have you ever been gotten a note, hey, Samir and Shaq, something came up, don't show up to the meeting today? Has that ever happened in the time? Would you be kind of surprised if that happened? Now, I can be traveling, but then usually what Shaq and I try to do is we try to make it where one of us are here. Can anyone remember a meeting, Dante, in the last 19 years, you've been with me almost the entire time, where it was something came up for these guys, there's no meeting? it gets to a point where people hope that we cancel. There's like, if it's flirting outside, the messages start, is this the one that they're finally getting canceled? Right? And now we have the holidays and meetings start at different times and whatever, and it's like, well, just have the meeting. We want to show that consistency. These are intentional things, right? So if you can't show up to your own freaking meeting, your people are not going to respect you. Your timeliness. How serious are you? I may not get through this whole thing.
No,
go. How serious are you about showing up on time? You ever had an early flight? Because the cheaper ones are early, right? So sometimes I don't really do this anymore, but you have a 5 a.m. flight in BWI, right? You're waking up and Mike and Shondell get to the airport 4 hours early on a domestic flight. For a domestic. They're at 1 in the morning for 5 in the morning, right? I at least just get there an hour early. But what do you do? What do you do when you know you gotta, this is your trip to Cancun, dude. Like, you're not missing this. What do you do to make sure that you get there? All right? All these things. You set 17 alarms and the night before and all this stuff, right? Because you don't want to miss. And it's like, people miss. People come late. It's difficult, you know what I mean? It's difficult. See, there's a saying in self-improvement that if you can't discipline yourself, it's very difficult to discipline others. You don't want an undisciplined group. Your energy. Really, this is an open forum. Nora, have I ever come up to you and been like, I'm so freaking tired, man. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do this. Can you set that for me? She asked me today, what'd you ask me? When I walked in?
I said, you never drink coffee?
She said, I never see you drinking coffee. I was like, because I have my coffee at freaking 6:30 in the morning. I've been up for hours before I come here. Right? Now, I have that luxury of choosing when I want to go to see. I don't have kids. I'm not Shaq's wife where his baby's waking up every 10 minutes. Dude, I understand that. Sheila's on a West Coast schedule. She's on appointments till freaking 4 a.m. I get that, man. Not everyone's going to get their 7 hours of beauty sleep. I do recognize that. But, we have to arrange our life in a way where, especially when you are the one running the meeting, that I can deliver for you guys. You ever wonder, right? Man, every time they come up, they have a new topic or something interesting. And I hope people are thinking that. That's why you come. But it's that takes a lot of mental preparation. Your attitude. Are you positive? Right? Are you optimistic? Are you forward-looking? Are you solution-oriented? And of course, your example. It's going to be an awesome meeting if you are doing, we know what, in Jen's meeting, she's always going to have her own guest there. She is always going to be dressed up. She is always going to show up on time. She is always going to deliver. There's no question about her in those meetings. That's what you want. You want, if people, just like Shaq said, what if your team did what you do? What if you had 100 people on your team and they made that excuse? They used that reason. They never brought people. So really, we can blame everybody else about a bad meeting, but the question is, are you adding or subtracting from the group? Are you an adder or a subtractor? Think about it. Your behavior, what you bring to the environment, what you bring to the meeting. What's that saying you have? If nothing else, Shaq, you say, at least bring what? What's that saying that he used to have? I forgot what it was. He's like, if nothing else, bring, I don't know what it maybe attitude. Okay?
Your mother.
What about the environment of a meeting? Always make people feel welcome. when I see people dress sharp or when they have a good energy, right? And I should do it with everyone, but I make sure I walk in. Have I ever made anyone feel like you're not on my team, you are? Have I ever been that way with anybody? I see people here doing that. If someone asks me for something, I'll do an IBA for you, I'll sit down and close for you, I'll do all that because that's what makes people feel welcome. This is not like a cutthroat sales environment where people are not helping people, we're stealing each other's production, right? So in your environment, you want to make people feel very welcome. You want to introduce yourself to everyone. This is not a corporate job where everyone is pissed off and nobody wants to be there, right? We are happy to be here. We want to learn who you are. We want to meet you. And people are nervous coming into rooms where they don't know anybody. Clapping for people. I was like that in the beginning where I thought it was weird to clap and I just kind of sat there and I heard it from the leaders. They called me out on it. And so I look around now, I'm like, who's clapping, who's not clapping? Because, again, what's the saying? Clap for them because you're going to want them to clap for you. That's the way you got to think about it. You want an environment that's competitive. Maybe we need a little more of that here. Some groups in Primerica, they will literally pit people up against each other. Like, what's your name? You're new? You compete against this person, we're going to see what you can do next week. We don't really run our business that way, but there has to be some good, healthy competition and an environment where people always want to bring people. That's my thing, right? I always ask myself, all right, so you came to the meeting. Did you think, man, this was corny stuff? I know my stuff's not corny. I know our meetings are not corny, and we try to keep them as informative, exciting, whatever you want to call it, as possible. Let's go next. The etiquette is huge, and this one takes real leadership. Because I've seen, even in Primerica, a lot of meetings with bad etiquette. And it's because the leaders are weak and they're scared to tell people, especially when they're adults, how to behave in our meetings. And it's not that people are trying to be outright disrespectful. It's like wherever else they're doing meetings, this is how people act. But, we don't like when your phone rings in the meeting. I've seen in some meetings, people are literally answering their phone in the meeting. Can you imagine that? Hey, what's up? We'll call you back. Wait, what happened? It's like I'm ready to call back. Now you want to hear what happened. I've seen this stuff happen.
Oh my God.
Walking out. It is a pet peeve of ours for people to walk out during the meeting for whatever the reason. Trust me, this takes. Now, it doesn't mean you shoot the hostages, right? It doesn't mean that like you flip out to the point to where, and we used to do this, it embarrasses everyone, now they never want to come back, you make them feel so bad. But some of that happened, that's how we created the environment that we have today, especially with repeat offenders, okay? You should not be walking out of the meeting, control your bladder, whatever. Taking notes. That is how you learn. That is how you are going to be able to review the things that you heard in the meeting. Encourage people to take notes, but give them a piece of paper if nothing else if they're here not taking notes. It's distracting when some people are taking notes and some people aren't taking notes. Interrupting the meeting. What's that? So we are like you understand, this takes a little bit of skill. Like these are just bullet points, and then I have in my mind, I have certain subtopics that I'm going to bring up, and then someone just starts calling stuff out. Oh yeah, like that one time, dude, I'm losing my train of thought. Now you guys do an amazing job of that. When I go speak other places, people just act like they can just talk whenever they want to in the meeting. And you will have people like that when you run your own meeting, because you're not us. And people are going to try to test you, and they want attention. Does that make sense? The interrupting of the meeting, you ask someone one little question, and now all of a sudden they're going on a 10-minute whatever, on and on and on, and it's like we're all here, we're in a meeting, and you're telling your life story. I asked you a yes or no question, and you've seen me do that. I will interrupt people. I'll say, all right, okay, cool, next. Because I gotta keep the meeting going. I'm not trying to be rude.
Right.
And I'm not trying to help, I'm not trying to give the impression that that's something that we allow in the meeting. We gotta go quick, man. We only have a couple hours of meetings in the whole week. So all of these things are intentional. The dress code. Especially if you have a younger group, the dress code is very, very important, okay? This is a real business, it's a business meeting. Okay, look, but it's all, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm put together. I don't have holes everywhere and different colors and, you know, stuff that doesn't fit and all that. Like, I just don't think that it doesn't give a good impression of where I think people gauge the seriousness of the meeting by the dress code, okay? And inappropriate conversations. What's an inappropriate conversation? Like, you're here on a Monday meeting and all you can talk about is the game last night. Like, we'll mention the game, like, you see that? Oh, crazy guy. That's it. That's it. Maybe we have a text thread, we'll talk about it later, but we're not in the Primerica meeting obsessed about sports and talking about that. Or something bad that just happened on the way. Or some crazy phone call that you got. Or, you know, something negative that has nothing to do with anything, that is not appropriate for this meeting, for you to get what you need to get out of it. Geared towards new people. This is something you have to understand, and I've seen this happen. You guys know, like, I have an exchange, people that I gave up that are no longer on my team. One of them makes 200, one of them makes 400. These are very successful RVPs. And I have helped people build environments and now they run their own. And these are some of the things that I noticed, right? See, if we want to cater to new people, because we want new people, that's how we grow. If I come up here every single time and talk about some technical investment training, guess what? That's not for new people, because some of you older people don't even have a securities license. It doesn't pertain to you. Even when I do it, it's literally just to mix it up, and I know you guys are entertained by it. When I talk about that stuff, but I've seen, like, people just want to get so technical with their trainings. Like, how old are you? 18! He doesn't care! That's not what he's here for. To hear about your complex financial plan. You don't think I know all that stuff? I know it better than a lot of people in Primerica. I've been here a long time. I know the products and services, but if that's what I teach, the new people are going to be like, it's all over my head. It's not interesting, right? So, introduce the new people. Gear it towards it, make them feel welcome. Introduce people who are new. Sometimes we say, hey, it's your first meeting. Where do you work? Who are you? Who invited you out? Basic stuff. Teach how to set appointments and teach how to invite. Because that's what you want people to do, right? Like I said, if you can teach them the basics quick, you're going to find out who's actually going to do what they've been taught to do, and that's who's going to be successful, and that's how you spend that's who you figure out who to spend your time with. So, frequently in meetings, how to invite, how to set appointments. Now, Darius may say, man, they're going to teach about how to invite again? I already know that. Yeah, but if you had 5 new people, wouldn't you want me to teach them that? Exactly. I'm not trying to appease the person who just keeps coming to meetings, never brings, never produces. I'm trying to entertain them. No, I want to focus on the people that are going to help us grow the organization. And no matter how many times Jen hears a training that she already knows how to do, she knows that she has new people, they're going to learn how to do it. But sometimes we want to appease what? The veterans and the older people and all that. There are times where we're going to do that, but the majority of the meeting has to be geared towards new people. Okay, and this is the last slide. What should be the content mix of a meeting? This is really important, because some people love the products, all they talk about is product, 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 and then they figure out what? They're talking to 2 people. Because your business is not going to grow if all you talk about is products. There has to be a mix of recruiting, how to recruit, benefits of recruiting, examples of recruiting, and products. And as I was doing this, I was thinking, man, there's some adjustments that I need to make in our meetings. I'm not saying we're doing all this stuff perfectly. I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm saying this is the way it should be done. I have to get realigned in some of these areas. But, when you come to a Saturday training, it should be, so it's heavily product weighted. So there is 60% products, but there's still 30% recruiting. It's not 99% products. And of course, you always have some recognition. Now, for you guys who are running opportunity nights, it flips. It should be 60% recruiting, 30% products. The opportunity night should be opportunity focused, recruiting focused, growth focused, and of course, you always have some recognition. And then there's some self-improvement concepts. Now, you are going to hire these people where they want to read entire chapters in front of a meeting, to the meeting. Like, look at what I just read. Have you ever seen me do that? I've read snippets. I've gone through chapters and highlighted some things. Now I put them on a slide so you can see them up there and you can have a copy of it. But for most of us, you want to stay away from too much of this. Look, self-improvement concept. So maybe Jen says, there's this one concept that I think is really interesting. This is how you think. You want to stay away from this, boom, 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 and then you move on to the other stuff. But we do need self-improvement as well. But whether you are a meeting participant or you are a leader that's looking to run your own meeting, I thought this was almost like a franchise system of how you should put together a meeting, what you should expect from a meeting. And look, in Primerica, it's not about how long you've been here. It's not about who we like the most. It's about who can demonstrate that they have the ability to build and run a successful meeting. And that can happen for you in the next 12 months, 18 months, no matter who you are, right? And that's why I wanted to go over that today.